What's going on, YouTube family? Today we're going to be talking about how people are saying no thanks to brand new cars and actually walking away from allocations. Now, it's no secret that Americans love to spend money. We always want to buy the newest, latest, greatest toy, and that's why we're a consumer-based economy. But during the pandemic, a lot of things changed. People couldn't afford some of these cars, and on top of that, with the chip shortage, people weren't able to buy those new cars every 2 to 3 years that they constantly desired. And how this affected the market actually surprised me quite a bit. I figured after all the fallout and prices coming down, there would be another rush for affordable brand new cars. But unfortunately, automakers are not dropping their prices, the deals are still not good enough, but more than that, people are changing the way they buy cars. Now, the reason why I picked this topic is because typically I always get asked for like new cars or something really fancy or crazy, but I've actually been asked for a lot more regular cars than normal. What do I mean by regular cars? Something as simple as like a Mustang GT that's a 5-speed manual, a Mazda Miata, a CRX, if you guys remember those old ones. Even myself, I purchased a 1989 MR2. Now, the reason why I did this and the reason why I'm building my G6x6 and I decided not to get another R8 or get a Huracan or any of these other cars is because, to be honest with you, I was just fed up with the pricing. I didn't want to deal with the financing. So I'd rather, instead of buying maybe one really nice exotic car, I would have 4 or 5 cool fun cars that I can drive around, like the smart car, the 6x6, this one, and a few other ones that I'm going to show on the channel. And so I thought it was just because I was a car guy, but regular people were sharing the exact same sentiment as I was. One of my buddies, very successful business owner here in Las Vegas, owns a bunch of restaurants. He wound up taking in his brand new G-Wagon, and I bought him a 2005 Ford Excursion 7.3. Now, it was about $22,000, but he is so happy with this Excursion. He doesn't want a new crazy G-Wagon, doesn't want a crazy payment. He just wants to enjoy this car, take it off-road, and have fun. And that car is pretty much bulletproof. One of my other friends, same thing. He asked me for an older Dodge Ram truck. Now, I know that he just bought one about 2 years ago. It was all over social media. He worked a shipping company, did transport from here to Vegas, shipping cars, and he bought a brand new Dodge Ram in, I think, 2021 or 2022. And he told me that he got rid of it because it was nothing but problems. It was over, basically, too much technology, more shit to go wrong. And so he was constantly bringing in for transmission, for motor issues, electrical issues. And so with 32,000 miles, he decided to just give it back to the dealership, trade it in, and walk away. So we actually found him a 2015 Dodge Ram, and that's what he's currently driving today. So we're starting to see this trend of people actually falling back in love with older cars. Whether it's maybe something that's more manual, like a Mazda Miata or a Ford Mustang or Chevy Corvette, or the nostalgic thoughts of maybe the Honda CRX was a car you were driving when you were a kid, or you had an older Civic, or even a classic car if you're a little bit older. I've seen a lot of people going back into buying some of these older Mustangs, Camaros, and Chevelles and putting LSs in them and making them daily drivers, because now with modern drivetrain, you can actually count on them to go to work, and they're very reliable. So with this trend starting to change, I'm starting to notice that certain cars are going up in value, and it's not the ones I typically thought. Now, I thought Miatas reached their peak at about $5,000. Here in Las Vegas, if you got a clean 91 Miata that doesn't have any damage and it's a clean title, you probably can get $8,000 to $12,000 for this thing. Honda CRXs, I used to buy them for $500 to $1,000. I can't find a single one lower than about $3,000 or $4,000. On top of that, I love the old Ford Ranger Splashes or Edge Editions. If you guys have one, please message me. I want one of those. I had one a long time ago. It was a single cab, had the flare side, it was like this bright blue color, and it was the 3-liter Mazda motor with the 5-speed manual transmission that was 4x4. I cannot find these things under $8,000, which blows my mind. So I think that people are going to these cars not only because they're affordable, because of that nostalgic sake. And on top of that, to be honest with you, I think the early 2000s to late 2010s were probably some of the most reliable cars. That's when you started seeing all these Hondas, Toyotas, some of the Hyundais, and even Nissans and Fords having 100, 200, 300,000 miles and not having any issues. Another reason why I think people are going back and buying some of these cheaper, affordable cars, not only for nostalgic sake, but they just don't want the crazy buyer remorse of buying a brand new car. Now, I'm going to make fun of a little bit of the Tesla Cybertruck. Now, I know a lot of people have buyer's remorse because of that. I have two friends that both paid over $175,000 for that thing about maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and now you can't even get rid of them for about $100,000. The last one I saw at the auction about 2 weeks ago went up to $96,000 and did not hit reserve. There's two for sale online cash for about $106,000 here in Vegas. So we're watching that market fall off basically a cliff. So why buy something brand new and basically eat it in the shorts and lose thousands and thousands of dollars, where you're going to start to see a lot of these more analog cars go up in value, because as we get more electrified, or more cars are technology based, and we're pushing away from gas cars and electric cars, you're going to start to see this major push on analog cars going up in value. Now, you're going to hear it here first. I believe that Mazda Miatas are going to be about $20,000 in about 2 years. I'm not even joking. Any classic Mustang, Camaro, something like that, the more analog, the better it is. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and buy every classic piece of crap that's out there, but if you like classic cars and you like the analog feeling of a manual steering rack, a manual transmission, and actually hearing the motor, buy a classic car now. Doesn't have to be in the 50s, 60s, or 70s. If you can only afford it 80s and 90s, that's fine too, or early 2000s. Get whatever you can today, because I promise you, it's going up. I just purchased, I believe it was an 89 MR2. I paid $6,500 for that thing. A year or two ago, I probably could have got it, well, before the pandemic, maybe $1,000. They're just going up in value, and they're getting harder and harder to find, and people are not getting rid of them. The guy that I got my MR2 from had 6 of them sitting in his backyard. My Mercedes 190E that I'm going to be building here a little bit later on the channel, the guy that I got it from has 7 of these things sitting in there, and he will not sell them. I went there 3 or 4 times to get some parts and some wheels. He won't sell them. He knows that it's going to be worth a fortune. He's holding on to it. All these old boomers that everyone makes fun of, that have like 30 classic cars sitting in their garage rotting away. Every year these things rot away, and it's bringing them more value and more and more. And so if you're thinking about buying one of these cars, please buy one today. So let's go ahead and talk about what's currently going on at the auction and at dealerships. Now, we're seeing people really struggle with buying anything over $25,000. I know that sounds pretty hilarious, but it's true. A lot of the subprime banks do not want to lend on anything over $25K. So if you're looking at buying something and your credit's not that great, or you don't have a massive down payment, my advice is to stay under that $20,000 marker for an easy approval. But I know there's a lot of good cars to find that are newer, that are hard to get out there for that same price. So this is another reason why you're seeing some of these cheaper, more affordable cars becoming higher in demand, and people actually going back to older cars because of this reason. So we have the nostalgic factor, and then we have the simple finance factor that people just simply can't afford these higher prices. Now, I know they kept saying that the interest rates were going to go down by July and we'd be 2 points down, but here we are, nothing is changing. There's even talking about maybe possibly raising it a 0.5 point up. So interest rates are not going down anytime soon. I know there's a lot of banks and a lot of captive lenders that are doing special financing. Don't believe the hype. The reason they're giving you that low rate is because there's some sort of thing they're tricking you on, whether they're making you pay more for the car, or to get this special qualifications, you got to do 30 months or add an extended warranty. One way or the other, the bank is going to get their money. So don't fall for it. So, just pay for the typical rate and try to get the lowest price possible. And then hopefully within a year, when things get back to normal, you'll be able to refinance. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about exotic cars. Now, I know there's not a huge market for this with my demographic, but there are a lot of people out there looking for exotic cars. Do not pay retail prices. Right now, most of the calls I get from people trying to unload and dump cars are exotic cars. People absolutely buried in Lamborghini Huracans, Lamborghini Uruses. I've seen people $200,000 to $300,000 upside down in Rolls-Royce Cullinans, which is just an absolute travesty. Salvaged exotics going for a lot cheaper than what they should. The market is falling apart on that one, because a lot of the banks like Ally and Capital One and some Wells Fargo and Bank of America were going really hard during the pandemic, letting people finance these cars. But now that the market has basically gone to trash and people can't afford simple things, they don't want to take any more big risks in losing these exotic cars. So now it's getting harder and harder to finance. So that's why if you look every single week, you can go to to Car Gurus or Auto Tempest or whatever, and you can see the number of Ferraris and Lamborghinis literally going up in volume every single month. I've been looking for a Rolls-Royce Wraith for a little bit, and I kept looking at the auctions just to see what happens, and I'm starting to see the exact same ones I saw on Auto Trader and Car Gurus start to roll through the auction because they're trying to get rid of them, but they can't go for what they're basically being bid for at the auction, so they put them back up on retail and lower the price to see if they can get it. Just as an example, there was a 2017, I was the high bidder at $120,000. They had it online for $185,000. They said no. They put it back up for, I think it was $175,000. Nothing, dropped it to 170, took it back to the auction. I bid 110 this time and was the high bidder. They took it back to their dealership and now it's selling for about 165. So you can start to see these things happen with exotic cars. Especially, I won't mention some names, but some of these exotic car banks and some of these other leasing companies I've been talking to, they are having a hard time collecting money. Now, these people typically that buy exotic cars should have a lot of disposable income and it shouldn't be no problem for them to purchase these cars. But unfortunately, it's not working out that way. They can't make the payments. Unfortunately, some of these people are going to have to give back their cars to the banks and these leasing companies. But as this market starts to unravel, do not believe the hype saying that, this car is what it is, it's worth this. You're going to see so many of these exotic cars basically on consignment at some of these dealerships. And they're going to try to ask you for top dollar because these idiots are basically buried into these cars. Once again, do not buy it. If they got it up there for $220, more than likely it's worth $200K. Just take $20,000 off whatever they're asking. That's probably more than likely the true number at most of these exotic car dealerships. Now, I know some of my friends are watching this and probably getting a little pissed off, but it's totally true. And that's why a lot of times I don't even like to mess with consignment dealers because it's just a big headache. And then now, not only do you got to negotiate with the actual dealership, you got to negotiate with the car owner. And when you deal with people that are doing it besides business where there's an emotional attachment, then in their mind, their car's always worth more than what you're willing to offer. So don't even mess with it. I promise you, the trend of exotics is dropping faster than any other car and market out there. So just be patient. There's going to be a lot of deals. One thing I'm going to tell you is if you're thinking about shopping, go get pre-approved today. Go to either, my favorite is Navy Fed, Penn Fed. There's a bank here in the West Coast. America First Credit Union is a great bank. I know US Bank is doing some special loans for business auto loans. So if you want to get one of those, we're also working with a company called Car Putty. Pretty cool guys. You can get one loan and put 4 or 5 cars on there up to $250,000, but I'll talk about that more later. But there's a lot of things that are available out there. You just want to make sure that you're pre-approved and you know you can get it, because so many people, I bought a $50,000 car last year. I should be able to get a $60,000, $70,000 car this year. And then when they roll up to the dealership has to tell them, I'm sorry, you guys don't approve, or we don't have any banks that want to give you the loan, or they'll approve you, but unfortunately they're going to tax you so much, it's going to be absolutely insane. So we have this Discord group of a bunch of car dealers and car salespeople, and they were sharing a bunch of crazy stories about people trying to buy brand new Dodge Challengers and Chargers, and they weren't getting approved at low interest rates, so the banks would give them stupid interest rates, 15, 20%, at a $100,000 loan, thinking they wouldn't sign for it. And there's a lot of people that are still signing loans. Imagine that, getting a $100,000 auto loan for 72 months at 20% interest. So they're going to tax you any way they can if they can do that, and they can't get you approved the traditional way. So be patient. Don't put yourself in that predicament, owing 20% on a $100,000 car loan, because every month you wait, it feels like something's slipping through your fingers, but that just means that hopefully the rates are going to go down and there's going to be one more car that's going to bring down the value of the next car you're looking at, which hopefully brings down the price of the one you truly want in about a month or two. But anyways, I thank you guys so much for watching. This is my temporary studio. We're still setting up the big one across the way, so make sure you like and subscribe. I got some really cool stuff there. Also, this video is sponsored by Lonebridge, which is my company. If you're a dealer, a repo guy, whatever else, you're looking to track and get some information on cars, please sign up today for our 14-day free trial. Links in the description, and we'll see you next video. In this current economy, there is a lot of uncertainty. Americans owe $1.6 trillion in auto loan debt. We hit new record highs in auto loan delinquencies, defaults, repo rates, and deficiencies. With car values falling, it is critical to track, locate, and secure your collateral as quickly as possible. And that's where Lonebridge comes in. Upload your auto loan portfolio. No personal information is needed, just the vehicle identification number. We start processing and decoding your VINs right away. We value and prioritize your vehicles, as well as gathering vehicle history. With Lonebridge's 24/7 monitoring, you will get real-time alerts for events such as impounds, tow alerts, accidents, thefts, commercial use, repossession, synthetic VINs, and much more. Additionally, with our Loan Bridge vehicle reports, we can check your vehicle's history for accidents, title brands, sales information, vehicle value, and lien holder information. So sign up today for your 14-day free trial and book your demo today.